fry them up. Oh yeah. Hey everybody, this is Fry. So we are going to be going through the all basic decks for the zombie heroes today. Today we are going to be doing these zombie heroes. Super Brainz, Smash, Impfinity, Rustbolt, and Boogaloo. So again, these decks are going to contain only cards from the basic set, no premium cards. Obviously, as you get premium cards, you are able to add them into this deck and into these decks and make them better. But in the meantime, I'm making this for beginner players that don't have a huge collection, and you can actually make some pretty solid decks with only cards from the basic set. So here we go. We are going to start with Super Brainz. And this is what we got for Super Brainz. It is going to be a gravestone deck. All of the sneaky heroes on the zombie side. Sneaky, of course, this little symbol right over here. We are going to be making gravestone decks out of them. There's a lot of really great basic cards. They can get some gravestone synergy. So you're starting on turn 1 with Headstone Carver. Headstone Carver will give any gravestone that you play afterwards +1/+1. Headstone Carver is really good at staying on the board. Usually it'll at least survive until turn 2. On turn 2, you really want to get also in your starting hand one of the 2-cost gravestones. In this deck, it will be Swashbuckler. If it's buffed by the Headstone Carver, by the way, it will become a 3/3, which already is very good for turn 2. Plus, whenever it hits face, it'll get +1/+1, so try to get that to hit face. And Drone Engineer. Drone Engineer, if it's buffed by Headstone Carver, it'll have 2 attack and 4 health. Which is really good for turn 2, of course, and it also grows as it keeps on attacking. Every single time it does any damage to anything, it will grow in attack. So turn 3, the gravestone that we have, I'm kind of not going in order of the curve. I'll explain the other synergy in this deck afterwards. First, I'm going to explain the gravestones. Turn 3, we have the Smelly Zombie. So this is not only a very good removal card since it's deadly. So if your opponent plays a strong plant that it's hard to deal with, you can stick a Smelly Zombie in front of it and it will destroy it. So this is also a gravestone, so if you can play this while the Headstone Carver is still alive, it'll go from being 2/4 to 3/5. A 3/5 deadly on turn 3 is so great, so really try to get your gravestones going with your Headstone Carver if you can at the beginning of the game. The other synergy we are running in this deck, we're running 4 copies of a lot of imps. So Fishy Imp, this is the amphibious creature, 3/1 in the water lane for 2, just good stats. And we're running 2 copies of the Hot Dog Imp. Also some imps, and the imp synergy really comes together when we come to this card over here. It is the Imp Commander. Every single time an imp hurts the plant hero, draw cards. So this will give you some extra card draw, give you some extra cards, so we'll be able to keep you into the game if the game goes later, and also will give you more options of what to play. We're running 4 copies of bonus attack. This is, of course, called Lurch for Lunch. Making a zombie do a bonus attack, especially when your cards start getting really strong. You have some good late game in this deck, and also when your Swashbucklers or your Drone Engineers start getting a lot of attacks. So the bonus attacks will help protect them from whatever plants your opponent, sort of puts in the way. We are running 1 copy of Backyard Bounce in this deck. Just to add a little bit of removal, in case you don't have a Smelly Zombie in your hand to remove an opponent's big plant off the board, so the Backyard Bounce will put that back into their hand. So especially if they have a huge plant you can't deal with, or maybe they've taken a small plant and really grown it big by using tricks on it. So Backyard Bounce is really good. We're running just 1. We're also running 1 copy of Lurch for Lunch, just a little extra card draw to draw 2 cards, just to be able to keep you in the game as the game goes by. In terms of the late game, we are running 4 copies of the Drum Major, just a good solid 4 attack, 4 health. Really solid card. And of course, we're coming in with the big late game is the Halocopter. This is played as a trick. It spawns a 6/5 minion, so you can really play this sort of after the fact. Very unstoppable. A great combo in this deck also is to play Halocopter and then to play Lurch for Lunch to make it do a bonus attack. This Halocopter has 6 attack on its own, and when you make it do a bonus attack, it'll be doing a 6 damage bonus attack, which is really powerful. It can be done either to attack the opponent plant's hero or to remove one of your opponent's creatures off the board. So this is for Super Brainz. This is a pretty good deck. This is actually a very good deck. Everyone has Super Brainz, of course, as your starting hero, so I would definitely suggest that as being a good deck to kind of put together a Gravestone Super Brainz deck. For beginner players, that is a really good choice. So we're going to be moving on to the Smash. This is what we got for the Smash. We are starting off in the 1 slot. I'll start off with the dog. It costs 1, it's 2/2. It'll sometimes annoy your opponent by following and the zombie moves wherever a plant is played, so it is a good counter to some things. It's just a good solid starting off on turn 1. Also in the 1 slot we have Camel Crossing, which this is a very powerful card. It will give extra 2 health to all of your zombies, so you kind of want to wait until you have a few zombies on the board and then sort of protect them by using Camel Crossing, giving them that extra health. It's a really good strategy. We're also running 3 copies of Rolling Stone to give a little bit of small removal in this deck. It'll destroy any plant with 2 attack or less, and there are even some very big plants that only have 2 attacks, so a lot of times this can remove, for example, a 3-peater. Alright, moving right along, in the 2 slot we have Conehead Zombie. This is just good stats. It's 2/2 with armor, so it's basically like having 2 attack and 3 health. It's a little better than 2 attack and 3 health because, for example, if this was hit by something with 1 attack a few times, it would always do nothing. The armor, of course, reduces every attack by 1 damage. Also running 3 copies of the Flag Zombie. Flag Zombie has very weak stats. It's cost 2 and it's only a 1/3, which is not very good for a 2-drop, but it makes all your zombies cost 1 less, so very often you can use the Flag Zombies to either put a whole bunch of small minions on the field, or play it, let's say on turn 3, and then on turn 4, if it will survive, you'll be able to play, you know, let's say a 5-drop card or something like that, so you can get some good value out of the Flag Zombies. I've had some success with that. We are running 4 copies of Sumo Zombie. Now this is an amazing card. Not only does it have good stats, 2/3, but also when it's revealed, move a plant. So a lot of times you can use this card to move a plant over in order to make a favorable matchup. If you have a bad matchup somewhere, use the Sumo Zombie. It remedies that really well. We are running 4 copies of Dolphin Rider. It's just a good stat card. It's 3/2 and it's amphibious in the water lane. So it gives you some amphibious creatures. Sometimes it's very hard for your opponent to deal with. There's another very good card, Loudmouth. It is a gravestone. When it pops up, it gives any zombie 2 attack and 2 health extra. So you can use this on itself and it'll become a 3/3, which is already pretty good stats for a 3-drop. It can also be used in key situations to, you know, really buff a different creature up, and that creature will be able to have a more favorable matchup because of that, or really have a lot of attack power. Just for any lack of any other 4-drops, you're running 4 copies of the Medic. Healing. Sometimes the healing can be really good, especially if you have a minion with a lot of health, maybe a minion that was already buffed by Camel Crossing and gets damaged. So you can definitely use the Medic to heal that. If not, you can just heal your own face. Increase the health of your hero if you're damaged at all. So coming to the 5-drop, the 5 slot in this deck is very, very powerful. Not only do we have 3 copies of Locust, Locust Swarm will just destroy a plant. Use this for any time your opponent plays a very big plant that it's hard to deal with. So the 3 copies of, you know, some hard removal in this deck is really good. We also have 4 copies of Smashing Gargantuar. This is a really powerful card and a great finisher. It not only does it have good stats, it costs 5 and has 5 attack and 5 health, but it also has Frenzy. All Gargantuars have Frenzy, including this one. There's no other Gargantuars in this deck, but this will have Frenzy, meaning that anytime it will destroy a plant, it will keep on attacking and will be able to hit your opponents. It's very good at finishing off your opponent. And in the 7 slot, we are running 2 copies of Night of the Living Dead. An extremely expensive card. It does cost 7, but it has very heavily armored, so all damage that happens to this will be reduced by 2. It's very, very hard for opponents to be able to deal with this, unless they can remove it off the board directly. This is a pretty decent deck. It's sort of a ram strategy. This is a very easy deck to play. There's very little synergy in the deck. It's just a lot of pretty solid cards. So this is kind of a very good deck for, you know, very, very beginner players. It's probably not as strong as a lot of the Gravestone decks you'll see in the other heroes that we are doing in this tutorial, but this is a pretty good deck still. And let's move on to Impfinity. And this is what I got for Impfinity. Now this is a great deck. This probably is the best basic deck made of all basic cards in the game. And I'll show you why. So again, we're running the Headstone Carver, so we're going to be having a lot of Gravestone synergy. You try to really start on turn 1 with the Headstone Carver. It will give every Gravestone that you play subsequently +1/+1 as long as the Headstone Carver is still alive and on the field. Turn 2, you really want to try to get into your hand either the Swashbuckler Zombie, which will become a 3/3. It also grows every single time it hits your opponent's face. That's a really good card. Or Newspaper. So the Newspaper, if it's buffed by the Headstone Carver, it'll become a 2/5. Plus every time it gets hurt, it gets extra 4 attack. So this is very, very strong. Also in the 3 slot, we have, in terms of gravestones, we have the Smelly Zombie, which again is very, very strong. This will become a 3 attack, 5 health if it is buffed by the Headstone Carver. The Headstone Carver, of course, gives it 1 extra attack and 1 extra health. It also is deadly, which makes it work very well as a removal card. If your opponent plays a big plant you can't deal with, stick a Smelly Zombie in front of it, it will almost for sure die. We are also running some Imp Synergy in this deck, so we are running 3 copies of the Fishy Imp. Just a good amphibious minion, 3/1, and you can play it in the water lane. 4 copies of the Hot Dog Imp. Also, pretty good card. Running the 4 copies of this. I would actually, now that I'm looking at it, I would actually remove 1 copy of the Hot Dog Imp and put in 1 more of the Fishy Imp. So I'm actually going to make that adjustment right now. So I'm going to say 4 copies of the Fishy Imp and 3 of the Hot Dog. The Fishy Imp just has better stats. It's in the aquatic lane. That's really good. We're also running 2 copies of Plumber just to give a little bit extra removal, just does 2 damage. Don't do this to your opponent's face, even though it can damage your opponent's hero directly. Better to save this and remove 1 of their creatures with it. Only use the Plumber to the face if it will actually cause lethal damage if they only have 1 or 2 health left. We are also running 4 copies of Imp Commander, so this is very good synergy with the other imps. Every time an imp hurts the plant hero will draw a card. So the imps in this deck are Imp Commander, Fishy Imp, and Hot Dog Imp. Very good synergy, gives you a little extra card draw, make you have really good plays. It also is a pirate, so we have a little bit of pirate synergy with the Swashbuckler. The Swashbuckler will make any pirate that hits your opponent's hero, that damages your opponent's hero, get +1/+1. So technically the Swashbuckler, if it's on the field, it can really buff up the Imp Commander if the Imp Commander hits your opponent. In the 4 slot, we have a very, very strong 4 slot. First of all, we have Orchestra Conductor. Orchestra Conductor will give all zombies played an extra 2 attack, so if you can really swarm on the first 3 turns and you come with Orchestra Conductor, it will give you a huge force on the field, especially with your Headstone Carver, which really has very weak stats. It's just a 1/3. By the time turn 4 comes around, your Headstone Carver is kind of useless, but if you can really come in and play Orchestra Conductor, it'll turn Headstone Carver into a 3/3, for example, 3 attack and 3 health, which is really, really good for that little, card you played on turn 1. One of the most awesome decks in the basic set is this card right here, the Chickening. It is so good. 2 damage to each plant. So this can sometimes totally obliterate your opponent's field. Almost every single plant deck needs to be working and playing around this card, that they shouldn't be, to get totally destroyed on turn 4 when you're doing 2 damage to all their plants. Really, really great card. This is probably the reason why that I like Impfinity the best of all of these heroes. Not only does he have the gravestone strategy, which is great, but he also has this card Chickening. It really makes all the difference. And the 5 slot is also very strong. We have 4 copies of the Imp Throwing Gargantuar. It's 5/5, cost 5, it's very good stats. It also will make a little imp every single time in a random lane when it is damaged. So that imp, besides for being a little 1/1, it can also get buffed by the Orchestra Conductor, which might, if you play that afterwards, will give that a little attack. It also is a pirate, so it has pirate synergy. So if the Swashbuckler is on the field, that little 1/1, if it hits face, it'll turn into a 2/2, because the little imp it throws is a Swabby, which is an imp pirate. It also has synergy with the Imp Commander, because the Imp Commander, of course, anytime an imp hits face, you draw a card, so this will spawn a little imp, and you'll be able to draw more cards. This is kind of the perfect basic deck. I love this deck. The curve is great. There's card draw, there's good synergy, there's field clear, you have the Chickening, there's good late game. This deck really has it all. So when you're faced with your decisions at the beginning of the game in terms of which hero to pick, if you get the chance to get Impfinity, definitely get Impfinity. The next deck we will do is Rustbolt. And this is what we have for Rustbolt. So we have, I'm going to start by explaining this deck. I'm going to start with the minions and we'll get to the tricks in a little bit. So we're running 2 copies of Chimney Sweep. This is a good card. You always want to play this on the heights. When it's on the heights, it gets +1/+1. So it will total have 3 attack and 2 health on turn 1, which is a very good 1 slot. We're only running 2 in this deck, just because you don't want your heights lane number 1 to get full of these, and then you get another one in your hand, and then it's kind of useless. It's just a 2/1. So running 2 in this deck, a nice solid 1-drop. We are running 4 copies of Paparazzi in this deck. Paparazzi, it starts off really weak. It's a 1 attack, 1 health. You do not want to play Paparazzi on turn 1. You almost never want to play this on turn 1. You want to play this on turn 2 and then play a trick along with it. So it can be one of your powers that you get at the beginning of the game, or it can be this card, the Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone is really efficient removal. It will destroy a plant with 2 attack or less. A great turn 2 play would be to play Paparazzi, and then you'll have 1 brain left over for the trick stage and remove whatever they play with the Rolling Stone. Your Paparazzi become a 2/2, and then you can just keep on playing tricks. And this Paparazzi can get really big. Sometimes you can have a Paparazzi that ends up with having 7 attack and 7 health, as long as you play it right and you protect it well with your tricks. Another great synergy with the Paparazzi is this card, the Camel Crossing. This gives all zombies plus 2 health. So not only would this give, if you just had, let's say even on turn 2, you played Paparazzi and then you played Camel Crossing, the Paparazzi would end up with 2 attack and 4 health. It would get buffed 1/1 from playing a trick, and then they'll get another 2 health. And this is really good on all the creatures in this deck to be able to give them extra health, especially the Paparazzi because it's a trick, so it will buff the Paparazzi actually 1 attack and 3 health. Really great synergy there. We are also running 4 copies of the Conehead Zombie, just to give a nice solid 2-drop. It's a 2/2, has 1 armor, so every single time it is damaged, that damage will be reduced by 1. Good stats. We're running 2 copies of the Flag Zombie. Even though it has very poor stats, it's only 1/3, but all zombies will cost 1 less. Every once in a while you can get some very good value from the Flag Zombie and be able to play a lot of creatures on the board. We are running 4 copies of this card, Lurch for Lunch, the bonus attack. So this will help protect your creatures when they're on the field already by making them do a bonus attack. A lot of times you can also make them do a bonus attack to directly damage your opponent's hero. It just depends on the situation, really. This is also a trick, so it works very well with the Paparazzi, especially when the Paparazzi has a lot of attack value. After you've buffed it up really with a lot of tricks, you can come in with Lurch for Lunch and make that Paparazzi do a bonus attack. It'll protect the Paparazzi, you know, clear whatever minion they've put in front of it, and it'll also buff the Paparazzi up a little bit more since it is a trick. We are also running 4 copies of the Sumo Zombie. Very good stats. It has 2 attack and 3 health, and you can move a plant, so it will help protect your other creatures. It will help create favorable matchups. Very good card. It also helps remove amphibious minions out of the water lane. It's another use for Sumo Zombies, so you can sort of take them into the land and finish them off there. We're running 4 copies of Lurch for Lunch. This is just very good in terms of drawing extra cards. It also is a trick, so it will buff your Paparazzi. Use it wisely. We are running 4 copies of Drum Major. Nice, kind of, you know, mid to late game. It's just good stats, 4 attack, 4 health, cost 4. And for the big finish, we are running 4 copies of Halocopter. Halocopter is, you play this as a trick, but it creates a 6/5 zombie you can play. So that was very good as a finisher. You can also use it very well together with bonus attacks, because a bonus attack from a Halocopter will end up doing 6 damage. Again, this deck is a very good deck. It's kind of the complete package. It's a little bit harder to play. You have to be really careful with your Paparazzis and, you know, not have them die in vain. Really try to play your Paparazzis in a situation that you will be able to protect them, but otherwise this deck is pretty straightforward and is a quite powerful deck. And here's what I got for Electric Boogaloo. Another pretty decent deck. It's just a deck with a lot of cards with good stats. So we're running 4 copies of the Dog Walker. It's just a cost 1, 2 attack, 2 health, good stats. When the plant is played, this will actually move there, so sometimes this will really hound your opponent's smaller creatures. It will mess them up, but it's just we're just having the deck just because it costs 1 and has pretty good stats. We're running 4 copies of Plumber to add some little removal. It does 2 damage. You're running 4 copies of Nibble in this deck. Also, it is a little bit of removal. A plant will get -1 attack, -1 health. It will also heal you. Really, the strength of the Electric Boogaloo deck is the late game. I'm going to show you we have a really heavy line of Gargantuars in the late game. So this will heal you, make sure you don't die in the early game. It also reduce one of your opponent's minions, kind of make it, you know, -1 attack, -1 health can really kind of make one of your opponent's minions much worse. And, you know, this will really help you get to the late game and be able to finish them off with your Gargantuars. Here's Tennis Champ. I don't necessarily suggest playing Tennis Champ just to hit your opponent's face, like even just playing this on turn 1. I would suggest actually holding this in your hand, and if your opponent has something that you're not able to deal with easily, this really would be good to try to attack that a minion of your opponent. So right when this is played, it gets extra 3 attacks, so it becomes a 4/1. So again, if you have a opponent has a creature that has 4 health, this would be really good to play against it in order to remove that creature off the board. In the 2 slot, we're running 4 copies of the Newspaper Zombie. It starts off very weak. It's only 1 attack and 4 health. So I would really suggest also trying to hold on to this until your opponent has a minion on the board. Maybe, you know, a couple of very small minions that are teamed up against each other. It's obviously really good, but try to play this again only against one of your opponent's minions. Then it can get very powerful, since it gets an extra 4 attack every time it is hit by your opponent. So in the 3 slot, we are running 3 copies of Disco Zombie. Again, just a decent card with decent stats. It spawns a 3/1 and a 1/1 somewhere else. So that 1/1 also, you don't really want that necessarily attacking your opponent, because they'll just charge up their block meter. So try to use that 1/1 to prevent some damage coming into your hero. Sometimes the little 1/1 it spawns can actually finish off one of your opponent's creatures, which is pretty good if that creature only has 1 health left. We are running 2 copies of the Dolphin Rider. So this is again just a good amphibious card. We are running you can put those in the water lane, and we are running 4 copies of the Loudmouth Imp. Loudmouth, it pops out of a gravestone and it'll give any zombie extra 2 attack and extra 2 health. This can be used on itself, so it's just a card with good stats. You know, worst case scenario, it's just a 3/3 that costs 3, which is fine. We are running 2 copies of Orchestra Conductor. This will give your other minions an extra 2 attack. So if you can get a lot of minions on the board and then come in turn 4 and play this is really good. Particularly this combos well with the Newspaper Zombie. The Newspaper Zombie only starts with 1 attack and 4 health. If you come in with the Orchestra Conductor, it'll have 3 attack and 4 health, which is really powerful. So you actually can play your Newspaper Zombies just dry, you know, not facing any of your opponent's creatures, as long as you know you're going to be able to come in on turn 4 with the Orchestra Conductor if you have that in your hand. It also combos quite well with the Disco Zombie. Disco Zombie is a 3/1 that spawns a little 1/1, and both of those little creatures will get buffed extra 2 attack from the Orchestra Conductor. The Orchestra Conductor, of course, also buffs itself, so it itself is a 2 attack and 2 health minion. We are coming in also in the 4 slot with Chickening. This is a really great card. It's field clear, 2 damage to each plant. Really, everything turns 1 through 4 in this deck is sort of just a stall for time. You're really just trying to stay alive. Maybe you can get a little bit of an advantage. The time this deck really shines is when it comes to the late game, the 5 drops. So we have 2 copies, with 6 Gargantuars in this deck. We have 2 copies of Imp Throwing Gargantuar. This, when it's hurt, will also spawn a little 1/1, which can be buffed by the Orchestra Conductor, etc. We are running also 4 copies of the Smashing Gargantuar. This Smashing Gargantuar gives all Gargantuars Frenzy, so if you already have a Imp Throwing Gargantuar, the other one that we have in this deck, already on the field, and you play this, then both of your Gargantuars will have Frenzy as long as the Smashing Gargantuar, this one, stays alive. We are also running 3 copies of Locust Swarm. Locust Swarm is good at just removing a plant. If your opponent plays a plant you can't deal with, just remove it off the board. So the late game of this deck is very heavy and very strong. You're just, again, trying to maybe use the early game to sort of stall for time and then get to the late game and finish them off with your Gargantuars. I actually would not suggest this deck to beginner players. It is very weak, especially the early game. Everything is like okay stats, but it's really not that great, and a lot of times you're going to get so swept up in the early game you're not going to really even be able to survive to the late game. Sometimes Chickening can really save you, sometimes it can't. Really depends on what your opponent's playing. So I would not necessarily suggest this to beginner players, but nonetheless it is a pretty decent deck. Alright, so that is all for now. That is part 1. We will be going through the rest of the zombie heroes in the next part of this video. So stay tuned for that. So this is Fry. Again, all of these decks, these are the all basic versions. As you get more cards from the premium sets, you can definitely remove some cards from this from these decks and put in the premium cards. Eventually I'll probably make a video with a tutorial on decks that are kind of like just budget decks, which means they'll have premium uncommons and rares. And just basic cards, and then just no super rares or legendaries. That'll be at a future date, so you can stay tuned for that. Alright guys, I hope you enjoy. This is Fry. This was the all basic deck tutorial, and the rest of these zombie heroes will be coming up in the next video. Peace. This is Fry.